Hello and welcome back to my channel. Today we have my September reading wrap up. I managed to read 20 books this month. It was definitely a later reading month for me. It was very busy, but I had a blast and a lot of these were absolutely phenomenal, so let's get right into it. As always, I grouped these by genre. Thriller was what I read most of, which checks out because I always read a lot more thrillers in the fall time because of spooky season, so let's start here. I did read my arc of Frida McFadden's new book, The Intruder. I do have an entire reading vlog of this up on my channel, so you can check that out if you want more in-depth thoughts. But overall, I thought this was phenomenal. If you like old school Frida books, I think you're gonna really like this. The twists in this are wild. It's a bit slower paced than most of her books. You're really getting to know the characters a lot in the first half and not really having many twists or crazy things happening, but you know the shoe's gonna drop eventually. And so it's definitely very eerie because you know it's coming, and she really got me with the twist in this one. I had a fleeting thought earlier that what if this was the case, and then immediately wrote it off as no, that's not possible, there's no way she could pull that off, but she pulled it off and it was so good. This one follows Casey, who is in a kind of remote location. She is about to weather the storm in a cabin that's definitely not built for the type of storm they're about to have. Now, as if she's not worried enough, she ends up finding this girl who's lurking in the barn or the shed on the property, and you're getting two perspectives in this book, her current perspective and then a perspective from this girl called Before. You pretty early on are wondering why that girl's there. It's definitely really creepy. She's cut off from pretty much everybody, so it's an isolation type of trope, and it's a lot of fun. I read this one in just one day in only a couple of hours. I flew through this book, so definitely recommend. Next up we have The Bachelorette Party, which wasn't my favorite. This was a book that was kind of forgettable for me. I liked it when I read it, but never thought of it again, and it wasn't one that I was itching to pick up. This one follows this group of friends who a decade or two ago, they went on a trip together. They always go on this yearly trip to this isolated island. Nobody knows where they go, and this one year they disappeared. They didn't come back. Nobody knows where to look for them. It's been, I think, a decade, and now there's a bachelorette party that's going to that same island. One of the women who's going is somebody who's always been true crime obsessed, and now she has a podcast, and she's always wondered what happened to those friends, and she's kind of on a mission to get to the bottom of it. And it is a fun one. Again, it's fun popcorn thriller. It is enjoyable. I just don't think it was much of a standout for me. Next up is All This Could Be Yours, which was another thriller that I enjoyed but didn't think much of afterwards. This one follows an author who has her dream life right now, her dream husband, kids, and her career, and her books are really popular. She's on a book tour and she starts to have some weird things happen, and as these things take place, she's thinking that this has to be connected to something that happened in her past, and she's trying desperately to keep that in her past, safely tucked away, because she wants to keep her nice rosy life the way it is. But it is definitely purposeful. People are bringing that back to the surface, and she has to figure out how to navigate that, and it's a fun one. It's just a little bit long to me. This one's almost 350 pages, and it has some fun twists and turns, but for what it was, I feel they could have probably taken out 50 pages and made it a little bit of a stronger book. Maybe that's weird for me to say, but I don't know. Sometimes thrillers just drag on a little bit too long for me. Next up is A Killer Wedding, which is another thriller that I liked but didn't absolutely love. This one follows this very luxury wedding that's gonna get covered in bespoke. There's this beauty company, Glow, who has basically picked up the bill for this destination wedding, and the woman who kind of coordinated with the family over this is found dead, basically right when they get there before the wedding takes place. The company is hey, let's just keep going with the wedding as planned and pretend that didn't happen, and the family's what the hell, somebody just died. So this is kind of a murder mystery type of book, and the twist in this one really got me. I had no idea that's where this book was gonna go, but overall a little bit slower than I would have hoped, but it was pretty solid. I did enjoy it. Next up we have You Belong Here by Megan Miranda, and this one disappointed me because I love her books. They're phenomenal. A lot of them are a little bit slower paced, but they're done in such a way that you are so invested in the story, you have to know what's happening, and I didn't feel that way with this one. It's definitely slower paced, but I just didn't feel the need to keep picking this up. I didn't feel I really cared too much. I probably should have DNF'd it, but I didn't, because again, I love this author and I just imagined that it would probably get better, and I mean, to an extent it did, because the twists I did enjoy, but overall, it just wasn't my favorite, and I wouldn't highly recommend this, but I would highly recommend some of her other books. This one was just a little bit of a flop for me, unfortunately. This one follows a woman who has kind of avoided her hometown ever since this incident that happened in college. Something happened, you don't really know what at first, that caused her best friend to flee and she was never found again, and now this woman kind of just avoids going back. But her daughter, without her knowing, applied to that same university and got in and is going, and so she's headed back to that town to get her daughter settled into university, hoping that she can just keep that past behind her, but of course that's not going to be the case. Next up, we have The Devil's Advocate by Steve Kavanaugh. This is quickly becoming a favorite thriller author of mine. He writes legal thrillers. They're all interconnected standalones you can pick up in any order. I've read 3 or 4 of them now, I think 3. And I think the books I've read are number 7, 8, and 9. Like it truly doesn't matter. You're just gonna get a little bit of his life kind of in the background, but it really just focuses around a certain case that he picks up. Now, what's fun about this one is that the lawyer that you're following, Eddie Flynn, he's actually a former con artist, so his backstory is fun, and it impacts the cases that he picks up, and what motivates him is not the same as what motivates most lawyers. He's not just in it for the money, he's in it to make a difference. And the case that he picks up this time is in this very corrupt town. There's this district attorney who is basically hand choosing people to be on death row and to go to prison for the rest of their life because he's rigging the cases. The hook says he's won every trial because he's planned every murder. So it's very dark. There are some graphic, gruesome scenes in this that I would recommend checking your content warnings for. It starts out really grisly. One of, actually, I think the most graphic scene is the first couple of chapters, but it really had such a chokehold on me. I loved this one. It's a hard read at times, but I just, hats off to him, because the way he wrote this was addicting and very thought-provoking book. The last thriller that I read was The Confessions, which is another one that I liked, didn't love. I didn't think about this one much after, but this one follows this supercomputer AI system that kind of goes offline, and when it goes offline, it sends out a bunch of these letters everywhere across the world. It says millions of letters arrive in the mail, murders are uncovered, affairs revealed, family secrets exposed, these are the first confessions, this is our last chance. But in this book, we follow the CEO who's trying to get a handle on what's happening. The supercomputer was never supposed to fail. There's of course backups upon backups to make sure this doesn't happen. Now, she's also trying to track down this woman named Maud who basically taught Liam, the supercomputer, kind of more than she probably should have, taught him how to, basically what it means to be a human and all sorts of things. And I liked this one. It's another one that I enjoyed while I was reading it, but didn't really think about it in between picking it up, and didn't think about it afterwards, which to me is just telling of it's not my very favorite, but it's still enjoyable, and I think I'd still recommend it. It's just not a top favorite of mine. All right, moving right along to romance. We have 6 romance books this month. Actually, the only 3 5-star reads for me were all romance, which is so interesting because thrillers are my favorite genre. So that's kind of bizarre, but I read a few that were just so amazing. The first one that was 5 stars was Good Spirits by B.K. Borson, and this book was so well done. I'm still not over it. I want to reread this immediately. It does have a second book that's coming out next year, and I am eagerly awaiting that book because I adored this. This involves this woman who all of a sudden is getting haunted by the ghost of Christmas past, and she doesn't understand why. She basically is hey, I think you have the wrong person. I certainly don't deserve to get haunted by you. And he's no, the system's never wrong. We're gonna have to figure out why you deserve this, basically what you did. And it turns out the reason that he's haunting her is not quite as straightforward as it usually is, and their journey together is just so cute. I absolutely love them. I wish this book was twice the length. It's 350 pages, and I would have read 1,000 pages of them because it was just that good. The next 5-star I read was The Honeycrisp Orchard Inn, and this one was just the fall book to me. It's super short, and I read it at the beginning of September, and at the time it was still 80 degrees outside, really warm, but it made me feel like it was fall, which I've been struggling with because all of September was super hot in Michigan. But I just thought this was so adorable. It follows this woman who's headed back to her hometown after she lost her job. She's an event planner, and she's headed back because her family asked her for her help because they are planning the yearly Harvest Festival. Her family owns an inn. There's also this apple orchard that is also kind of putting on this harvest festival, and it's a forced proximity because when she gets there, the house that she's gonna stay at is also being lived in by the son of the apple orchard, and they're gonna have to figure out how to basically live together. They're also gonna have to figure out how to both help with the harvest festival because he thought he was gonna be completely handling that on his own, so he's not super excited to have this woman who has left all these years and never come back to come in and basically save the day and do the festival how she wants to. There's also an adorable dog in this book that I'm obsessed with, and their relationship is so cute. He's definitely had feelings for her for a long time now that she didn't know about, and it's adorable. Also, I just realized the dog's on the cover. He's a pug, and he becomes famous in this book, which well deserved. He's so cute. Next up I read Picture Perfect by Tessa Bailey, and this one was so cute too. I love Tessa Bailey's writing. She writes just really fun romance books. Like every single time I'm just giggling while I'm reading them. This one's an enemies to lovers, opposites attract, fake dating between a softball player and a hockey player, and he is like a playboy. He's somebody she had no interest in, but she has had a crush on this one guy. I think it's like her brother's best friend for like her whole life. She's always been trying to get him to notice her, and she decides that if she takes this hot hockey player home, maybe it'll make him jealous and start to realize like, wait a second, I kind of have feelings for her. But they're just gonna end up being the most cute couple, and I loved it. The other 5-star romance that I read was Winging It With You, and this was so absolutely amazing. This one follows Asher, who's about to go on a reality TV show with his boyfriend. His boyfriend was the one who kind of like pushed them to apply to it, but then his boyfriend dumps him at the airport right before they go. It's not a dating show, but they were set to go as a couple, so he has to have a partner in order to actually go through with the show. It's like an adventure type of reality show, and he ends up having this meet cute with a pilot who's also at the airport. The pilot has a bad habit of overworking himself, and he's basically getting grounded from flying for the next, I think, couple of weeks because he has like flown at his limit. They have a certain number of hours or flights or whatever before they say like, no, you actually need to take a break, like for your own safety and well-being. And so he doesn't know what to do with his time. And so when he has this meet cute with this guy who needs to have like a boyfriend on this reality show, he decides to just do it. And so they fake date on the show, and they're adorable. Like this whole book had me grinning. I absolutely ate up every single second. This is my second book I read by Chip Pons, and they've both been 5 stars. So like, eagerly awaiting his next book. I think he has one set to come out in 2026, and I absolutely can't wait. Then I read Game Point, which I loved. I'm a huge tennis girly, so I could see this not being as interesting if you're not a tennis fan, but I thought this was so cute. It follows a woman who's had like 10 straight Grand Slam final losses. Like she keeps getting to the final, and then she is super in her head and she can't figure out how to win at that point. Our main guy character, he's also a professional tennis player. He's recently divorced and just needs kind of like a change in his life, and so he decides to take a pause from playing and to coach her instead because he wants to see her get that Grand Slam title. And of course they're gonna fall in love too, but I love this. Like the tennis aspect of this was such a fun read through too. I'm somebody who watches tennis all year round, so being able to read about tennis in romance form was so much fun. And I also met my spouse playing tennis, so just this was so up my alley, and I had a blast reading it. Next up we have One Golden Summer by Carly Fortune. This one was adorable. Like if you want a summer romance book, this one is gonna be perfect for you. It's set on the lake. It is like connected to the book Every Summer After, and I did like Every Summer After a little bit better, but this was phenomenal too. Every time her books just feel like a warm hug. Like I feel like I'm sitting on the lake myself. She writes very immersive books, so like it truly makes you feel like you're also on summer vacation with these characters, and their relationship was so cute. I had a little bit of a frustration with like, I guess sort of a miscommunication and just like a lack of transparency between the characters, which is like a big theme in the book, but other than that, it was just phenomenal, and I love this. I did read this before a book club at a book retreat I went to, which was really fun too, so definitely good memories around this book for me. The last romance I read was The Pumpkin Spice Cafe, which I also read for book club, and this one was super cute. I knew it was going to be cheesy going in, so I wasn't like disappointed by that by any means, but like imagine a Hallmark movie in book form, but make it a little bit spicy. That's this book. This one's a small town about a woman who is kind of taking over her grandmother's like coffee shop. I wouldn't say this is like miscommunication because they know like what their issue is, but it is just like the same reoccurring thing that I just wanted them to like sit down and talk it out and figure it out in this book. But overall it was cute, and I had fun discussing this with friends too. Next up, my one nonfiction of the month was a book of poetry. This one's called Things You Never Got to Hear. It's book 2 in a poetry trilogy, and I really like this one. This one's definitely like darker and grittier poems compared to the first one, like a little bit angsty. I'm excited. I don't know what the third book, like the themes are in that one, but this one was really enjoyable. If you're a poetry reader, I highly recommend. For fantasy, I have 2 books. The first one is The Crescent Moon Tea Room, and I adored this book. This was such a fun, like magical, witchy type of book. It follows these 3 Quigley sisters who basically run a magical tea room together. Their lives are pretty perfect until the Council of Witches comes calling with basically some bad news that they need their help, the Quigley sisters' help, to try to solve. And in solving this problem, they basically all get sent in a bunch of different directions. It's kind of tearing them apart, and this has a beautiful story of how they come back together, but I love this. It was such a fun read, and the second book is coming out, I think, in a week or 2. It comes out sometime in October, so I'm super excited to read that too. Next up, we have a little cozy romantic-y novella. It's super short. It's called The Winter Witch, and I loved the story. It was super cute and wholesome. It follows this woman who has a lost family lineage that she's trying to track down. She's the last of the Winter Witches, and so she sets off on a trek to try to basically basically discover her family lineage, and she's going alongside her grumpy bodyguard and also her like very mischievous cat, and they go on quite the adventure together. It's a sapphic romance. She ends up falling for her bodyguard, and it is so cute. And the last category we have is young adult. I did read 3 young adult books. The first one is The Executioners 3, which I really enjoyed. This one's a young adult mystery. It also has like rivalry, it has a romance in it, it has a curse that like dates back, I think, centuries. If you liked A Good Girl's Guide to Murder, I think you'll really like this one. It's definitely along the similar lines of like a teenager kind of being an amateur sleuth and getting to the bottom of it when cops are kind of just ruling things like an accident or a suicide. Like, it has those kind of vibes. Speaking of young adult mysteries, we have All In, which is book 3 in the Natural series, and the end of this one was absolutely jaw-dropping. I loved the way this ended. It was such a crazy plot twist, and I'm super excited to see where it goes in book 4. I'm not going to tell you what happens in this one because that would be spoilers for the first couple, but basically the premise of the series is that there's this group of very gifted teenagers who are like hand-selected by the FBI to help them solve cold cases. And it's a super fun book. It does have like romance throughout the series as well as like the mystery aspect, and the way that the books tie together are really fun. And then the last book we have is Girl Mode, which is a graphic novel. I really liked aspects of this book, and I had a hard time reading this because I just think there's some things that are, in my opinion, like slightly problematic in this book. Like things that a character would say, for example, for no reason, that had no consequence or no seeming purpose in the book. If you look at Goodreads, you'll be able to see what I'm talking about, but I loved the message in this book, and the trans rep and the graphics were absolutely beautiful. So it has a lot going for it. I just think that it could have been executed a little bit better. But there we have it. Overall, it was a pretty solid reading month. Again, I read less than I normally do. It's just been busy, but the books that I did read were really amazing. So I hope you guys got some good recommendations. Make sure you're subscribed so you don't miss any of my weekly uploads, and I'll see you guys in the next video.